all mastered, I continue to learn. And did somebody say, "Man, Danny, you bum"? Okay. uh, but whether I have it mastered or not, or know it all or not, the Bible is truth. Amen. So Proverbs 25. Let's do a little review here about some of the principles we've been learning. The first one, anybody remember the first one? Expectations ruin relationships. That's exactly right. Putting unreasonable expectations on our spouse or somebody else to do for us what only Christ can do. Uh, Look, I love my wife, but Christ is my all in all. Is my wife in here tonight? Oh, man, turn the speakers off. I end up getting myself in trouble. Thank you. My wife, I love my wife. She's the best friend I have, but Christ is my all in all. And only He can meet my needs like He can meet my needs, okay? And we put unreasonable expectations on our spouses sometimes. That can ruin a relationship. The second one was provide a safe what? Yes, provide a safe atmosphere in the home, this atmosphere of unconditional love, this atmosphere of, okay, boy, I've royally messed up, and boy, I'm going to pay a price here, but we're going to get through it. They're not going to give up. We're not going to give up on this thing. We're not giving up on each other. We're going to get past this. Sometimes we tend to say things that provide an atmosphere of, well, man, I can't say anything right here. Well, that's very dangerous. The third thing is don't go with what? Don't go with your gut. Don't follow your heart. Go with the Word of God, okay? And look, if we're not careful, we can take just about any part of the Word of God and bend it to justify what we want to do, okay? Just take it for what it says. I had a teacher in, I think it was middle school, junior high we called it back then, who used to always say, I say what I mean and I mean what I say. Anybody ever heard that before? Say what I mean what I say. We know what the Bible says what it means what it says. So just go with the Bible, even sometimes against our gut, against our heart, sometimes against our own logic. Go with that. The fourth one, can you what? Can you hear me now? People trying to talk. I'm going to talk about the flip side of that coin tonight, but can you hear me now? Learning to just stop and really hear what the person is saying, not just the words. Give them a hearing. People, listen for just a second, okay? Listen, everybody looking up in here. Stop interrupting people, okay? Holy smoke. There are people I love that I can't get a whole sentence out because I see people nodding their heads. Yeah. Hey, man, you can't get a sentence out. Do you realize what you're doing? You're telling that person, I really don't care what you have to say. Or he said, well, if it's on my mind, I'll forget it if I don't say it. Well, what about the other person? They're going to forget it if they don't get to say it. So just stop, listen to what they say, not just the words, but listen for what they're thinking, what they're feeling, where they're headed. Really try to get a grasp of what it is they're saying. I mentioned before, my wife was trying to express something to me one time, and I was listening, and the best I knew how. And when she was done, I said, okay, so what you're saying is, and I tried to express it back to her. She said, no, you missed it. I said, well, tell me again. So she told me again. And when she was done, I said, okay, I get it now. So what you're saying is, and she said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I said, okay, give it to me again. So she told me again, and then she said, do you understand now? And I said, no. I said, but I'm really trying, Dana. Tell it to me one more time. She said, no. Don't worry about it. This is where grace kicks in, okay? But try to give them a hearing and try to see it from their perspective. So can you hear me now? Because if we don't give somebody that hearing, eventually they will declare something loud enough and in a way that you have to hear it. A lot of times that's too late. The damage is sometimes irreparable, and so don't do that. Just listen. The next one was get your feet dirty. That's right. Take advantage of any opportunity you have to invest in the life of that person with whom you have a relationship, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your children. Hey, if you have children, they have an endless supply of energy. I no longer have an endless supply of energy, okay? There are times where I've just got to sit down. I've got to lay down or something. And sure enough, Carson, he's 13, has some energy. Hey, Dad, you want to go out and do something? You want to go ride a bike? You want to have a home run derby in the front yard? What do you want to do? You want to do something? And I'm thinking, oh, I just want to, let's have a sleeping contest or something. But hey, get your feet dirty, okay? Take advantage of the opportunities you have, because those opportunities will pass you by. I have 5. 2 married. 1 getting ready to move out once he finishes BLET. 1 getting ready to go to college. I'll be left with 1. He's 13. Won't be home much longer. Man, those years are flying fast. We'll have a grandbaby. Amen. Just call me Big Poppy. I think Big Mommy would be good. How many of you think Big Mommy would be a good grandma name, right? Yeah. She said it, I didn't, okay? The next one was be a bone breaker. Use soft answers. Soft answers break what's the most hard and obstinate and resistant in a person. Talking softly. Raising my voice and yelling in retaliation, all that does is throw fuel on a fire. And listen, I know a lot about throwing gasoline on fires, okay? I've caught some things on fire. I've about killed people, really. I about had a tragedy at a youth activity one time in Charlotte involving a bonfire and a can of gasoline and my truck and about 30 or 40 teenagers. Those were exciting times. Listen, when we get hostile because someone is hostile, it does no good. Just soft answer. You can say the truth without killing people doing it. You can just say it. Might not be as fun, but you can do it, okay? The next one was, we are one. Avoid division. Avoid anything that causes division. Fix it. The next one was, avoid the calluses. Those things that tend to make us hard-hearted, deal with it, and we're sort of dealing with that again tonight a little bit. If there's something that causes friction, it'll develop calluses. And what do calluses do? It makes it where you can't feel the pain. Right now, I could take my knife and I could cut that callus off, and it wouldn't hurt at all. I could take a pin and stick through the callus, in one side, out the other. Wouldn't feel it at all because of a thick callus, right? If I let that go too long, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, while I'm working or exercising, I can tear that callus. And when I tear it, it tears deep into the meat, and it's very painful. Look, don't let that happen. Just deal with the situation. All right? It has to be dealt with. The next one, last week, your what? Your wish is my command. Okay? Put others first. Put your spouse first. Put your children first. Put your parents first. Stop trying to change them. You can't change them. You're having a hard time changing you, aren't you? And learn to speak their language. See it from their perspective. Now, here's the next thing. Now, I want to mention a lot. I see a lot. A lot I thought I'd never see. A lot I wish I'd never seen. There's a lot of problems that develop that could have been stopped way back here had someone just spoke up when the problem was small. If they had just talked to somebody. You ever been in a situation where you felt like, I need to address this, I need to talk to somebody about this, but you just didn't? Anybody ever been in that situation? I've been there. Yeah. Okay. What's some reasons? Maybe pride, okay. What's another one? Embarrassed. Did you find that? Did you give it to me? Did you? Where is it? Did I put it there? Well, isn't that amazing? Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay. What's another reason? Busy. How about fear? I'm afraid of what they may do. I'm afraid it may cause more trouble. I'm afraid of whatever. What's another reason? Pride. What was the other one? Privacy. Okay. It's nobody's business but mine. That's not always a good answer. How about this? We were taught not to. Sometimes we were taught, oh, don't talk to people about your business. I don't want people knowing my business. Hey, if the people can help me with my business, I'll let them know all about my business. Sometimes it's fear. Listen, Proverbs 25, 8 through 11. And there's no way I can address everything in this topic here. Here's the nugget for tonight. Tear that wall down. Tear that wall down. Sometimes when we get hurt, we throw up this wall and we will not let anybody in that wall, because as long as they're out there, they can't hurt me. Even when I need to go to that person and talk to that person, it could be my wife. And maybe because I've been hurt in some way before, or disappointed, or whatever, maybe, hypothetical, okay, Dana? Maybe I talked to her about something, she became unreasonably irate, and she started throwing frying pans at me, and got the shotgun and tried to shuck one, but she had the shell in backwards, so I was safe then. And so now there's a situation, a tension, and I think, I need to talk to her, but that didn't go so good last time. And so I throw up a wall. I think, okay, if I can just keep it out here, I won't have to deal with it. I become a placater, a yes man, to try to just keep the peace, don't address anything. Okay? We put up these walls for fear of reason, for protection, whatever. When we do that, though, we cut off the chance of making things better. Now, to make things better is always a risky thing. Any human relationship involves risk. Because, listen, my relationship with my wife, when we pledged ourselves to each other, that involved risk. Because she is sinful human, I'm sinful human. Okay? When we had children, that was a risk. Physical risk for her, but emotional, mental, all kinds of risk for the both of us, because we're going to raise these children, and seeing some raised in good homes, we know we're opening ourselves up to the risk of heartache. You follow what I'm saying? Now, I'm also opening myself up to the risk of some great joy. But I have heard people say, well, no, this world is getting so bad, I can't think of raising a child in it. And boy, I've seen these things go on, the heartache of the parents, and I'm not willing to take that risk. I'm not having children. So now what they've just done, they've protected themselves from those heartaches, but they've also cut themselves off for the potential of great joy. We throw up these walls. I talked about creating a safe atmosphere, listening when people talk. Here's the flip side of that, people. Listen to me now real closely. In order to make that relationship what it needs to be, speak up when you need to speak up. Talk when you need to talk. Do you realize in our society 1 in 5 children are abused sexually? 1 in 5. That's horrible. Most will never know it because that child is scared to death to speak up. Speak up. I remember my mom used to tell me, she'd ask me, anybody ever messed with you and done anything? She'd give me the 3rd degree, and she said, if anybody ever messes with you, you tell me. She'd tell me stuff like this, but if anybody ever pulled up in a car and told you to get in, you just take off running. I don't care if they point a gun at you and start shooting. I'd rather you be dead than them take you and me not know where you are. Now, as a parent, I understand that. But as a kid, I was like, what? What in the world, Mom? Listen to this. Proverbs 25, 8 through 11. Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another. Lest he that heareth it put thee to shame, and thine infamy turn not away. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. So here, tear the wall down, but here's several things you got to do. If we're not careful, one of the things we do when we do speak, we can let it build and build and build until when we speak and we tear the wall down, we cause them to want to put a wall up because we become very destructive in our speech, okay? So there's a right way of handling things. There's a right way of speaking up. Number one, the slow approach. The slow approach. In verse 8, he said, go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. Listen, don't rush into things. Let every man be swift to what? Yeah, slow to speak. Yeah, swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. There we go. So swift to hear, slow to what? Speak. So listen, take your time. In other words, think before you speak. Instead of just rushing headlong into something, think about what it is I need to say here. The purpose of the slow approach is to make sure that you have everything in order. Instead of just rushing on headlong, a bundle full of emotions, and just saying, I'm just going, okay, I need to tell you something. What do you need to tell me? I really don't know. I've got that from my wife before. Honey, what's wrong? I'll be okay, but are you okay right now? No. What's wrong? I don't know. Come on, Dana, how can you not know? I mean, what's wrong? Have I done something? Has the kids done something? I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. Ah! So stop and think before you enter that conversation with someone I need to talk to. Your husband's done something that has hurt you, that has disappointed you. Your wife has done something that has hurt you or disappointed you, frustrated you. Your children have done something. Your parents have done something. Okay. Instead of rushing headlong into it, realize, and instead of throwing up a wall, well, I won't let this happen again. No, stop and say, okay, we've got to deal with this right now. Listen to this. I'm going to leave the names out to protect the innocent, okay? When my husband and I were first married, my mentor advised me, this is a lady writing this, my mentor advised me to be quiet for the first 5 years. As a result of her advice, I rarely gave an opinion. I let my husband do whatever he deemed right. Now listen to this for just a moment. That ain't right. For 5 years, here's the advice that was given to this lady. For 5 years, don't say a thing. Don't give your opinion. Don't give any advice. But now, wait a minute. Aren't we one flesh? Now, I understand it goes on to say that the principle she learned from that, and she learned some good principles, is don't come across bossy, don't come across usurping authority, don't come across as belittling your husband, and we shouldn't do those things. But that kind of teaching does not lead to an intimacy. That kind of teaching can lead to destruction if the guy's heading down the wrong path, or if the guy's making some bad decisions, and vice versa. So listen, sometimes we have to speak up. We don't want to throw the wall up because the wall may protect us from future harm, but that wall is also going to cut us off from future successes and future joys. So I need to address the situation, but I don't want to rush headlong into it. I want to do it with some wits about me, so take the slow approach. Don't go hastily into it. They do something that, I've seen parents sometimes get mad, boom, just like that, and jerk a knot in their kid and say some things that I thought, whoo, they ought not have said that. Wow, they didn't take their time. They just, well, bless God, we're going to deal with this right now. Now just simmer down. Simmer down, take the slow approach. Think about it and pray about it. But do speak. Don't have this attitude, I've got to hold it in, I can't tell anybody. At the same time, as I said, don't allow so much time to pass while you're thinking that you begin to get hard-hearted and calloused. Deal with it. It is a shame that people have to wait 15 and 20 years before they finally get to a place where they say, okay, I've had all I can take. I can't take any more. I'm telling somebody, and by the way, this is over, Buster. This is over, ma'am. Matthew 11:15, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. So if he trespasses you, if she trespasses against you, does something wrong against you, go and talk to him. But take the slow approach. Here's the second thing. The thought out approach. They go hand in hand. In verse number 11, it said, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. Fitly spoken means in due season, in circumstances that suit it. Using the right words, in the right time, in the right way. Think out the approach. If you're not careful, we allow the conversation to wander to issues that don't even pertain what we're trying to talk about, and then we leave and the problem's not been fixed. Some people are distractors. You'll be trying to pour your heart out about something or talk to them about something, address something, and next thing you know, they're talking about something over here that happened 5 years ago that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Have it thought out. Some people are placaters. Just, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, yes, I see. Yes, men, yeah, okay, I don't even want to deal with this. We'll just do it your way. Some are manipulators. Some are intimidators. Prepare yourself mentally when you're going to somebody. When you need to talk, you've had something go on and you have that first reaction of throwing up that wall. No, stop. And I'm not going to do that. I know that by not doing that, I'm risking more hurt, but I'm not going to cut myself off from the possibility of greater joy out here. So prepare yourself mentally. Think of every scenario possible. How will you deal with these scenarios? How will you act? Don't react. How will you act? Prepare yourself spiritually. Pray. Okay, God, I need to deal with this right here. I need to talk. I've got to get this situation out in the open here. I'm not going to just sweep it under the rug. Lord, how am I going to do this in a way that builds our relationship, not harms our relationship? By the way, that person, your husband, your wife, your child, your parent, your coworker, your boss, that's not your enemy. In Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Here's the next thing. Approach the right person. Approach the right person. Be careful when you're in this situation. You feel like, okay, I'm not having a wall here. I'm going to deal with this situation. Be careful who you go to. Number one, try, if at all possible, to go to the person the problem is with first. If you feel like you need outside counsel, find somebody. Look, we tend to think this way. I'm going to find somebody who's been in my situation. How about we find somebody that's never been in the situation because they knew how to avoid it? How about we find somebody, okay, maybe that's been in our situation, but they came out on the other side serving God and everything going well? Be careful who you approach. Approach the right person. Let me say this. Sometimes the higher person or the right person to approach is the higher authority. Walking with the Lord means we must give justice to the weak and the fatherless. Psalm 82:3. Correct oppression and utter wisdom. Psalm 37:30. And plead the widow's cause. Isaiah 1:17. When we take a cowardly back seat to injustice, we're doing more harm than good in our silence. Listen just a minute, kids, and I'm not wanting to open Pandora's box, and hopefully this won't be. If somebody does something to you that ought not be done, Speak up. Don't try to cover it up. Don't try to hold it inside. Don't try to say, well, it'll all go away. No, it doesn't. It gets worse. Speak up to somebody that can put you in touch with the proper authorities. Because that hurt, it should never be. But I love this person. Then the best thing you can do is get that person some help. Best thing you can do. Speak up. Ma'am, I'm finding that even in Christian homes, spousal abuse is almost rampant. You may need to speak up. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't put your children in danger. Listen, I know of a couple that live in another part of this state where the husband started doing some crazy stuff. So much so that the mom would take her children, put them in her bedroom, close the door at night, lock the door, and slide the dresser in front of it. He would become very irate. He took the kids' goldfish down to the basement, took them out of the water, and nailed them all to a joist so that people could see the dead goldfish. Hey, that's not normal. Well, bless gosh, you should just stay in that situation. Would you want your daughter staying in that situation? No, you got to protect those children. You got to protect yourself. Maybe it's the wife that's going bananas. She's chasing you with the ball-peen hammer. I don't know, but don't just take it. Man, you speak up. Get some help for the problem, Miss Phyllis. I'm hiding that ball-peen hammer for Billy's sake. Let me tell you something, kids. One of the greatest things you can do when you're struggling is to talk to your parents openly. You may think, well, they won't understand. Well, let me tell you, they might not. But they love you. And if they don't understand, they love you enough to help find somebody that will understand and get the problem fixed. You say, no, preacher, my parents, one of the ones you're talking about, my home is not good. Then listen, you need to find somebody you can talk to. Because by not talking and by putting up that wall, yeah, you're protecting yourself or trying to protect yourself from some hurt, and you may to a degree, but you're cutting yourself off from a whole lot of joy and satisfaction that you could have in the future, in your future relationships. Are you following what I'm saying? Tear the wall down. Tear the wall down. You don't have to come in like a wrecking ball and tear it down with anger and maliciousness and being irate. What are some of you giggling for? Why are you giggling over there, sister? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not gonna admit it, are you? Lena, I saw you giggle too. Why are you giggling, huh? Now look, we don't have to do it with all kinds of anger and maliciousness, but we need to tear the wall down. Instead of trying to hold it in, thinking we're protecting something, you're not protecting anything. You're poisoning yourself. Deal with the problem. So now look, both sides of that coin here. At your home, you need to provide a safe atmosphere where that person feels like I can come talk to them about absolutely anything. And though it may cause a little anger, it may cause some frustration, some disappointment, we're going to work through this. The second thing is, on the other side of that, you need to speak up. Don't have this attitude of, what, for the first 5 years, I'm not saying a thing. No, there's nothing spiritual about that. Now, there's something about holding your tongue at the right times, but not holding it permanently. All right? Not just cutting it out. Speak up. Don't let the problems persist. Get some help, and then build a great relationship. Everybody follow what I'm saying? I hope you do. So look, tear the wall down. Lord, thank you for loving us.